Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2020 and our first day of Supernatural Saturday for the year 2020. It's interesting how we go around and about our business having conversations with ourselves and what happens in those conversations. Last night we did a guided meditation with Gaia last night, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience, and of course, there was a whole group of us. I don't know the number because I wasn't paying attention. I was just letting her energy flow through me to guide the meditation. And after the meditation, I felt really emotional. I've been feeling really emotional ever since. I woke up this morning again feeling very emotional. These waves of excitement, but also sadness and joy and all these possible energies and experiences that can be enfolded from those. And when I asked what's going on, when I asked, Gaia, what's going on with all this emotion this morning, she said, I am not the one you wish to speak to this morning. It is your higher self that will speak this morning on what emotion is. And when I tuned into my higher self, it said, it is time that everybody begins to understand that emotion is the fifth state of energy. When I hear the words coming from my higher self, there is a feeling of absolute clarity and certainty that emotion is our fifth state of energy. It is the substance that all of you uses to create your experiences in this world in which you exist. In fact, this world could not exist without emotional energy. When I heard my higher self communicate that to me very firmly this morning, this feeling of jumping back and forth happened. I started feeling myself swinging from excitement to anxiety, from excitement to anxiety, watching those emotional flows going. And I asked myself, well, why am I experiencing these flows of energy from negative to positive? And my higher self said, so that you can begin to take the reins of your life and steer it in the direction you wish to go. All humanity needs to do this, it says. All humanity needs to take the reins of this energy called emotion and learn to steer. For whether it is fear or love, they are just two aspects of this energy that you use to manifest conditions as your experience. And the more I thought about it, and because I can feel it, if I feel the anxiety, if I feel the joy, if I feel those two polarities of energy in myself, I can step back and I can actually feel them on either side of me. And it said, now which one do you want to hold? Which one do you want to hold on to? And I said, well, I'll try holding on to joy first. And I held on to my joy for a moment, and then the energy shifted over to the fear energy, and I'm holding on to this fear energy, and it says to me, it said, it's not about the labels that you give it. Understand that it is just energy, and you get to change it by choice and intention, which blows my mind that we have that we can do that. It says you can change by choice and intention to be one or the other, but you cannot be both. But you can use one to go in one direction, you can use one to go in another direction. It's saying to me right now, what is really important is that humanity come to a place of intentionally aligning to an emotional condition that it wishes to see as its dominant experience in time, space, and matter. The conditions on which you are experiencing your life in this world, wherever you are the generated emotional conditions most dominantly experienced by your individuality, by your collective respective culture, and by your collective humanity. Your ability to shift that emotional state is completely up to you, where you will focus your attention and energy, but you cannot deny the effects of an emotional energy. You cannot deny the effects of an emotional energy. For once it is set in motion, it produces an effect. Much the same way as you will allow yourself to be directed by other people, you can also direct yourself. It says most humans are being directed by what is around them, not what is within them. And this whole movement that you call the ascension process is the deliberate and intentional awareness of knowing that you have the capacity and ability to choose what emotion you will align yourself to. For that emotion which you are aligned to at this moment or any other is the emotion that you are using to generate your experiences. Emotion is pure energy. It is it's showing a reservoir. It's like a big reservoir. Our emotions are like this infinite reservoir of energy that funnels down through each and every one of us. That it funnels down into us. So the feeling I'm getting is it funnels down into us, and we have the choice of what we will do with it. It's saying you could use electricity as an example. That you have an electrical wire, and it's got power going through it, and you touch it to something that will conduct it. The electricity will move through the thing that it's connected to. Well, you are like that. All of you are like that. You are attached to this endless reservoir of energy, and you may connect it to anything you want. You can connect it to happiness. You can connect it to sorrow. You can connect it to judgment. You can connect your emotional energy to anything, and it will generate and manufacture each and every experience you are having at any moment of your time. And you are free to change the energy and what you connect that energy to. It says most people are directed from the outside. It's saying from the outside. Most of us are directed from the outside in, not from the inside out. When you find a culture suffering, or you find suffering in your civilizations, it is because the emotional energy is not being deliberately and intentionally directed and focused to a common outcome that would be considered love or good. There is rampant fear, there is rampant guilt, there is rampant shame running upon this planet right now. And you can see it in the conditions environmentally as what you call weather. Understand that phenomena of this earthly experience are transmutations of this emotional energy, this energy from one state into another. And what your humanity does not recognize is that your humanity, in fact, is manufacturing the experience that you're currently having. You compare yourselves in terms of size. Your science will measure you in terms of whether you are big or small, heavy or light. But this does not account for the fact that there is an infinite intelligence that works equally through all points of time and space simultaneously. And that each point of time and space that has the capacity to recognize this can in fact alter and change the way in which that energy will manufacture itself as your living experience. The considerations of these fires that you speak of in the continent of your Australia, these fires here are emotional effects of long-term causes. They are literally burning away things that no longer serve you in an unhealthy and albeit uncomfortable fashion. There are other ways that you could choose to treat yourselves and treat each other that would produce very different results in your environment. Do not be fooled into believing that you have no power over what happens in this world. Do not be fooled into believing that science is your sole savior. Do not believe that there is some specific Messiah that will come and rescue you, for you and all are the Messiah. You all within you carry that seed of limitless potential, and your ability to nurture that seed one way or another, whether it shall become a rose, whether it shall become thorns, or whether it shall become ground or dirt is up to you and how you will choose to utilize that divine spark of energy, of emotion within you. Learning to deliberately and intentionally alter its flow and stream within yourself plays a role in influencing others. For there are many that cannot and will not self-direct. They are in a pattern of unawareness, a pattern of not knowing that they know that they carry this great spark within them. This whole ascension process that is unfolding on the earth today is about awakening that spark in yourself, and by that token, shining that light outwards and igniting the spark in others. This is going on all of the time. We see this in war where there's the spark of fear ignited in others, the spark of anger, the spark of guilt, the spark of hatred. But we also see the sparks of love, the sparks of joy, the sparks of creative potentiality. There are a limited number of ways on this physical dimension in which you can utilize emotion. They are either positive or negative. But your experience, wherever you may be in this world, whatever culture you exist within, may be influenced by the general culture around you, but you yourself may change the way that spark shines and ignites the world around you. It is important that each and every one of you comes to that place where you know that you can deliberately alter and change the existing state of emotion within you, thereby altering and changing the existing conditions around you. Right now, too many people are manipulated by the outside and have forgotten their connection. They think that this thing out there or that thing out there or that person out there will change and alter their life within them, and by that token they surrender the very nature of their actual creative process to something other than themselves. The ascension process on this planet today is about awakening your potential to be its fullest, to inspire others by being your potential. You don't have to make another person be or do. You must just be your best expression of yourself fully and completely. I wish you could feel what I feel when that consciousness moves through this form, this physical body. It literally is like getting supercharged when you begin to step outside the confines of who you think you are and begin to open your mind and your body and soul to the possibility that there is higher knowledge and wisdom around you and within you, and that you can tap into it at any time. Gives you the options to do and be in ways that you never thought you could. It exists within all of us, and the sensations that come with that. It's like literally, I'm feeling this increased energy, vitality, excitement, possibility. When you connect to different qualities or dimensions of consciousness, whether that's somebody who inspires you in the world, like Master Buddha or Jesus, or a Tony Robbins, or Marianne Williamson, or whoever it is that you go, wow, that ignites that spark in you. Or remember, what you see is what you be. And that's one of the things I've been learning, is that we are that which we observe if we choose to observe it and emulate it. And it really becomes a choice. But my higher self comes down, right down through the core of my head, and literally it's like a pulsing energy through my heart, and like my whole body is like sweating right now with the energy. And there are different qualities and characteristics that come with tapping into the different realities. But the goal today, from what I understand, is to realize that emotion is our energy in motion. It is the fifth state. It's the missing link in our creative process that is poorly understood and underutilized as in our collective consciousness. It's also underutilized in what we teach our children, that our emotions, how we feel, create experiences. But just imagine, these fires in Australia. If I'm understanding what was just said, the fires in Australia, certain environmental conditions are all effects of dominant emotional states that govern, alter, and change the conditions that exist in time, space, and matter. And being able to deliberately work with saying yes to me. Being able to deliberately alter and change our emotional state at any moment, is the beginning of our creating, is the beginning step of becoming an individualized creator. Becoming an individualized creator, what we feel is what we make real. This is one of the sayings that comes to me repeatedly. When Guy led the meditation last night, there is a feeling when you can move your awareness, because the whole group, we brought our awareness up, literally up into the atmosphere where clouds are formed and created. And I asked, of course, the first thing I did after the meditation, I wanted to check the long range forecast for Australia to see what was going to happen there. And Guy came and said, "Why would you do that? You have to understand how emotional energy works. You cannot stop." The example she used was like a freight train going down a track. Will stop if you apply even a small amount of force to it. If you apply more force to it, it'll slow down quicker. She says any condition that you see on the planet, like these wildfires, are an emotional extension of consciousness. And that as we apply more intention to the conditions of that place in terms of falling rain, but in a balanced and beautiful fashion, we actually slow that process down. And she said to me, many humans have not made the correlation between their emotion and their existing conditions, neither as individuals nor generally as cultures or as an entire species. This is the direction that the ascension process is moving us into, she says. And Gaia is just this beautiful, she just envelops me with love. It reminds me of being in my biological mother's arms when I was a baby, and feeling her hair cascading down around my face and wanting to play with it with my fingers. That's kind of the feeling I get with Gaia's energy. And she says, once humanity begins to collectively understand and utilize emotion deliberately as a unified species, you will see great changes on this world. You will see a balance and a restoration of life that has not been seen for many tens of thousands of years. She says 70,000 years was the last time that humanity had reached a highly balanced state of unified consciousness on this planet where we did not need to consume or fight or struggle. The rotational axis and the magnetic axis of the magnetic poles of the Earth were aligned in such a way that the rotation around the sun allowed the planet to maintain almost equalized temperatures throughout the system. So you could grow food just about anywhere on the planet at that point in time, because the balance was there planetarily. Right now, for the last 70,000 years, the Earth has been doing a little bit of tilting back and forth, and we've had several magnetic reversals, which she says are all effects of existing emotional conditions propagated by humanity as learned to grow and develop itself on this dimensional plane. And that's a very fascinating thing when you realize we have this, just by the way we feel, we can change, what happens in our body. I mean, if you take a deep breath right now and you make it a deliciously deep breath that just fills all the molecules in your body. I don't know about you, but when I do that, I feel this change in my body. And isn't that what it's about? Being able to become the agents of change in our life, being able to deliberately and intentionally alter what we're experiencing as feeling in this world. I mean, this glass of water it feels a certain way when I drink it. This obsidian feels a certain way when I hold it. We experience our world by feeling, and just imagine that each and every one of us has the ability innately to learn how to direct what we're feeling. And in directing what we're feeling, we alter electrically what's going on in our body, which in turn alters the electrical field around our body, which in turn alters the space around the body, which in turn, and so on and so on and so on. And the more we can learn to sustain a certain quality of feeling, the more we begin to see its results in our actual experience of this world while living through a finite body. And that's exciting if you think about it, that people who are depressed are attached to a feeling of depression. And I've been depressed. I was under psychiatric care when I was a teenager. So I understand what depression is. I understand what those emotional swings are and are experienced as if they're actually real. And when I asked about why did I have to go through that, because you have to know that you are not that which you are feeling. You are the director of it. You can change it at will by how you choose to interact with even a negative emotion in your body. You can change the way you interact with it. And an example for me was the first time I ever had the thought that I was loving and lovable. I was just finished turning, I think, 25. And I had taken a class with some gentleman many years ago, a former mentor of mine, Bill Curry. And he said, have you ever had the thought that you are loving and lovable? And I'd never had the thought that I was loving and lovable. I was only 5 years into realizing I could actually choose my own thoughts. Most people don't know they can choose their thoughts. Most people think their thoughts are just their thoughts. But when I had that thought, I'm loving and lovable, just that thought alone created a change I'd never experienced, a change in my energy, my body. I'm loving, and the feeling that came just from that statement, I am loving and lovable. When I thought those words, I could actually feel the feeling energy change in my body. And I remember walking around for like a week, everywhere I went, going, I'm loving and I'm lovable. And the more I said it, the more I felt it. The more I felt it, I noticed my body posture began to change. I began to feel lighter. And it was the beginning of recognizing that I could change what I was feeling by the types and qualities of thoughts I was thinking. And at that point, I became like really big on positive thinking. Drove my family crazy because what are you all this positive thinking? But it was a necessary process for me to begin to understand that emotions are something we generate. We can be conscious of generating them or unconscious to the fact that we can change them. Each one produces a different sense of empowerment. If I don't believe I can change how I'm feeling, it's very disempowering, very debilitating. When I was a young man, a teenager moving into a young man, I had no control over my emotions. I had no control over my depression. I had no control over my anxiety. I had no control over my joy. I felt like I was just caught in this torrent of emotion. And it's what led me to try suicide on several occasions at that point in my life, because I didn't believe I had any power over them. And so when I began to change my thinking at around age 20, and then I began to realize I could change what I was feeling by 25, it made a huge change in the course of my life. Realizing that the minute you recognize you can change what you feel, you can change what's real, is the way I see it now. When we change what we feel, we change what is real. And it has to start within us. And this is where you begin to, like right now, thank you. My higher self is directing a vibration through me and saying to me, be mindful if you can feel the vibrational energy of the words that are flowing into your ears at this moment. If you can allow yourself to feel the vibration of the words entering your ears, not the words themselves, but the vibration of the words, then you will allow yourself to access a quality of what this one calls the higher self in yourself. For the statement that birds of a feather flock together is based on the idea that similar energies work together. So feel the vibration of the words rather than the words themselves. For words have their own meaning, but the feeling behind a word is another meaning. And when you allow yourself to access something outside of what your normal range of experience is, you begin to tap into your self as the self that creates your experience. So you may be influenced to experience a certain quality of being, but the same is true from within yourself. You may articulate a thought, an idea, in a very specific and precise way, and alter your own feeling state at any point of time and space. And this will enable you to open up to limitless possibilities when you know that you could put your attention on the sound farther in the distance and hear that fire truck, or hear that bell ringing, or hear that person speaking in the other room, or hear the sound of feet walking down the street beside you. And you can be aware of those things by learning how to shift your perceptual awareness. With the knowledge that you can generate the feelings you wish to experience in your world, you liberate yourself from the paradigm of being controlled by external agencies alone. Can we re-articulate in a different way? You may think of it as you are standing in a room and you can open any door and that door will lead to anywhere. But you can feel what the door will be. Will the door be excitement? Will the door be fearful? You can choose any door. You know which door feels better. Does the door that feels fearful feel better? Does the door that feels excitement feel better? The minute you choose the doorway, can we use a different metaphor for that? Focus. When you focus in a specific way, you will create a different change in your state of being. Wow. So emotion, that's the starting point of today was about emotion is the fifth state of energy. It is the primordial substance of infinite intelligence that it utilizes to create and manifest conditions that we too can also access that primordial substance as an undifferentiated energy and change energy into either fear or love within ourselves. When I was going through anxiety as a child, I did not know how to deal with it. When I began to realize I could choose what I was thinking about, I could choose what I was doing, and it would change how I was feeling. When I put those pieces together between 20 and 25, I started to actually create my life instead of being subjective to the ebbs and flows of people around me. So emotion is what we use to create our experience. So with regard to, because I'm asking about how's this tie, because I mentioned the fire a while back and I want to tie it back to that. So understanding with the meditation, with the fire, understand this is just one application to apply it like we've been doing with the 1 billion strong, like we've been doing with the 1 billion strong movement, to apply it the same way. You can change the planet to be paradise, or you can change the planet to be uncomfortable. Now in about 1 minute, we're going to do a 30 to 60 second meditation for those of you that are new on literally altering the human collective unconscious and rebalancing the electromagnetic conditions on the planet. And it's a really simple meditation of just accessing inside yourself what you call a feeling of love or joy. To take a moment right now to access for you what a feeling of love or joy is inside yourself. So let's do that right now. Just access that feeling for yourself. And when you feel it, breathe it in so you fill your body with it. Breathe your lungs up full so you fill your body complete with that feeling of love. And then as you exhale, expand that feeling out around you. Let that feeling of love fill the space around your body. Now breathe that feeling in even more. Like you can saturate the body with that feeling of love. And then exhale as if you can fill the space around your body with that feeling that you call love. Now take one more breath, and this time when you breathe, imagine you can expand that feeling of love to surround and encompass the entire planet from where you are. So as you breathe in, expand that feeling out. As you exhale, allow the feeling to encompass the entire planet. And do one more breath like that, where you breathe that feeling of love into and around the world. And as you exhale, expand that feeling of love out further around the world. Allow it to penetrate the planet, all the people, animals, trees, water, air. Let that feeling of love, as you experience it, encompass this entire earth. And just rest in that for a few seconds. Now draw your breath in and pull that feeling of love back, localize it in your body. Bring yourself back to this moment of time and just notice the difference in the feelings in your body. Just take a moment to notice the sensations in your body. Notice if you're feeling elevated energy, tingling in the hands and feet. Do you feel more warmth? How does the space around your body feel? When you breathe, it is literally moving electrical energy in the body. When you exhale, you're moving electrical energy. And when you deliberately focus on a feeling, you expand it. So when somebody says, I don't want to feel this way, they're actually focusing on the way they don't want to feel. So when you're focusing on love, a feeling of love, and you really focus on it, you're generating a flow of electrons through your brain that cause the molecules in your body to reorganize themselves according to that feeling, that quality that you call love. And now we all do this. We have a group that called 1 Billion Strong on Facebook. We invite you to join it, where every day at 12 noon and 12 p.m. or any time in between that you choose, you move into that state of what you call love, breathe it into your body, expand it out to the world, and do that for 30 to 60 seconds, at least once or twice a day, 12 noon, 12 a.m., and any other time in between if you so choose. I do it as often as possible because it doesn't take long. It doesn't take much out of my life to take a moment. And if you understand how electrical fields work around your body, then you're walking down the street and you're in that state of love. You're going to affect and influence people around you, even if they're not aware of it. Just the same way as a glass of cold water, when you put it in the freezer, it will freeze because the energy in the freezer is much lower in frequency, so it freezes the water. So your vibration, when you can stay in a state and alter your emotional state, you alter what's happening in the electrical field that your body is generating at all points of time and space. And in that choice to alter your electrical feeling energy, your emotions, you can tap into and connect with consciousness beings that are at different levels of consciousness. Just the same way as the people you have in your life right now as friends there's an electrical relationship, an emotional connection that binds you together with the people you're connected in your world. Well, so too there are beings that are non-physical beings. My higher self, Gaia, Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, Zarathustra, infinite number of beings on an infinite number of dimensions that when you learn to alter your emotional potential, you can tune into or tap into these beings on different levels of consciousness, which is what we teach in our mediumship courses, which will be beginning next February. But the point here is that once you begin to alter your emotion around you and within you, it changes space and time around you. It's why a person can walk in a room and light that whole room up, right? They can light the entire room right up for you. And some people walk in a room and you go, whoa, heavy vibes. It's because the emotional energy being generated. Now you can be subjective to that person, that you can be uplifted by that person or brought down by that person. But the whole purpose of the ascension process is to become the master of your own emotional expression. Therefore, the conditions that you choose to manifest in life. And when you learn to do that, you liberate yourself from what's happening around you, the way most people are conventionally bound by it. Like if taxes go up, people go, oh. If taxes go down, people go, yay. If their team wins, they go, yay. If their team loses, they go. You get so many people are caught up in what's going on around them. They've been disconnected from their own creative power to generate an experience for themselves that would make them feel joy, right? So if the hockey team of my town loses, I don't feel like I've lost. I maintain my joy just because that condition changes. Doesn't mean I have to go down into a place of unhappiness because that condition has changed out there. I have a choice over that. We all do. So my higher self will do some questions and answers for the next half hour, which is part of the program. And if you got any questions or concerns, just let's see what we get into, because I know there's a whole bunch that have come up, and I'm gonna scroll back. Wow, there we are. Okay, so now I'm gonna start scrolling down. Well, hello, Susie. Hello, Melina. Drusilla. Hi, Deirdre. That's wonderful. It's good to hear. Remember, I'm glad you're saying that, Deirdre, that the rain hasn't stopped since the meditation last night. The fires in Australia are an emotional effect of a human collective unconscious experience that has been unfolding for not just, it's not something that's just happened, it's an effect that has occurred as a result of accumulated emotional conditions in that part of human collective consciousness that we call continental Australia. Remember, the earth is literally a giant living organism, just as your body's a living organism. So if we keep the energy and the image up of the rain falling there, it will fall there. Once the energy of the rain, the energy idea, the feeling energy of the idea of rain gets enough energy built up, it'll begin to fall, right? And so where you are, there's obviously not any concerns of fire, so the rain can fall easier where you are. There's a reason for everything happening the way it does. Oh, you're welcome. Good morning, Angie. I was channeling my higher self and Gaia. They've been kind of going back and forth through me. We've been having this kind of three-way conversation. It's pretty interesting. What if you struggle to maintain that connection outside of your meditation? The purpose of meditation, it's a great question. The purpose of meditation is to get you into the knowing, the interconnectivity between yourself and this infinite consciousness that unifies all points of time and space simultaneously. And to recognize that in that state, you can generate emotional energies that produce the conditions that you call your life, physically, mentally, and emotionally. That you can, in a state of disease, for example, in a state of physical disease, certain precursors emotionally unfolded over a period of time to cause an effect. And when you can reverse or alter the emotional cause, you can change the effect. So meditation is about getting you into a place where you can move yourself deliberately into a state of absolute joy, or a state of calm peacefulness, or a state of excitement. In meditation, you learn to master your ability to generate emotional conditions within your own biological and spiritual and energetic architecture. And once you learn to do that, where you can make your body completely relaxed anywhere, anytime. So even if somebody's screaming and yelling or upset, you don't feel that, you're not reacting to it. You're in complete control of your system. Then at that point, you can start to then watch how that emotional change you make inside begin to affect around you. Because once you start to change it within you, it starts to change around you. You'll start to see little things happening around you that begin to match the dominant emotion that you're feeling. It's why depressed people always are saying nothing's ever going right for me, because they're in that energy. So that's what the whole way their world is filtered. So it really meditation is really about learning to master your internal emotional energy, so you can become a creator soul to create the expression of your being as it which chooses to manifest in this dimension that we call Earth. That's a good question. So that's what meditation is. Once you learn to meditate and train your body into the state that you want to emotionally call your life experience, joy, excitement, passion, playfulness, then you become the master of the creative process. Then you can see how will that joy manufacture itself in your experience as an opportunity? How will that joy or love manufacture itself as a relationship? How will that joy and excitement express itself as the relationships you meet, the people you meet, the place you go, the things you'll do, and how things will unfold around you? I'm trying to find the comments. I'm still okay, so I'm going to go back here. Oh, I'm glad, Michael, it rained for you too, eh? Yes, that's wonderful. It rained here this morning as well, everybody, just so you know that. So you have to understand the dominant emotion that you feel at any point in time and space is creating the existing conditions of your life. And all of your guides, angels, and masters that work with you and for you and through you will tell you the exact same thing, that we are the agents of change, or we are subjective to the changes and agencies of others' actions. And it's much better if you become the agent of your change, become the deliberate creator of your emotional state. So just seeing that little evidence. Okay, we'll get to you in a moment, darling, just a second. A lot of questions. This is great. I'm just trying to be fair here. Other. Once you won't have to struggle, you will not have to struggle to maintain the connection once you've practiced meditation enough and cultivated a deliberate state at will. You will not have to do that anymore. It will become a habit, just like suffering and depression are habits. So is joy and possibility. Nasad, can you ask Archangel Michael? Yes, I can. Just a moment. He's saying to me right now, not to get confused in terms of how you would like things to be, but recognize that it is important he's saying remove your interpretation of these energies so you can authentically identify whom is communicating with you. If you try to, he's saying, if you try to figure it out, you're going to impose filters on what you perceive. He's saying, step back and be a space, an observing space. He's saying, step back and be an observing space rather than an analytical space. In the observation, you will observe what is there. In the analytical space, you can alter what is there and therefore create misperception rather than what is actual from your perspective. It's a great question, by the way. Oh, Angie, that's a wonderful question. And there's this being named Jamal Ibsiko. I'm going to see if I can bring him in right now. Yeah, okay. Wow. Jamal is this... there are so many beautiful beings on this planet. Jamal is just this very... I've never seen such a beautiful midnight skin. And he's very tall. And he's very, very humble. His size... His height does not make him feel imposing. It actually feels very light for his size. But he says it was the desire to alter things from what they were without thought of their effects that caused a localized change in certain groups of people. And those changes locally altered certain physical conditions, which brought about a fear that survival could be threatened. And in the fear of survival being threatened, many other groups got involved in that fear. It began to change and alter the electrical conditions under which that planet existed. And yes, when that fear spread, the awareness that fear was causing the conditions was lost. This created further imbalance, what you would call a cascading effect, like dominoes. At that time, humanity lived organically in harmony with nature, but were not fully cognizant of its relationship to the environment emotionally. This had to be learned. And we feel now that this lesson has been learned, which is why so many of us are converging here on this earth with all of you at this time. You have great opposition, which gives you the opportunity to choose what emotional conditions you wish your experience to be, individually and collectively as a species. You will see it is very evident from the work that has been ongoing through this one and many others, that conditions on the planet, socially, politically, and environmentally, can and will be changed by emotional conditions held most dominantly in the human collective unconscious, which must be altered consciously. So to answer your question directly, it was fear and the lack of knowing that one's internal conditions were linked to external effects. And humanity in general has been lost in the old paradigm model, believing that external reality is causing internal effects. But this now is being reversed and put in its proper place as it was always intended. You are creator beings. You do manifest and manufacture conditions that you call your life. And you do that emotionally. Cool. I don't know, Melina. I don't know who this is coming. There's a female coming in behind me to the right, and she's in white, and she's got this. She's got long blonde hair, and greenish blue eyes, and she's saying it is important you understand that you must generate the quality of the feelings that you wish to be your experience. And you are doing this now, but it's important you understand you must be the cause, not let the effects or the lack thereof to determine whether you shall pursue or not pursue certain emotional conditions within yourself. Align yourself fully and completely to love, to joy, to that which you wish your world to be. Do not be attached to the time and duration necessary for its manifestation to occur, for it will occur. You cannot plant a seed in the ground and then dig it up to see if it's growing, then plant the seed in the ground and dig it up to see if it's growing. You must leave the seed in the ground, nurture it, give it attention, and you will see the evidence of that which you are seeking to see evidence for. Stop seeking to see the evidence and be the vibration, the feeling of that which you wish your experience to be. Wow. Who are you? She just says, I am light. So I don't know what that means. She says, I am light. It's curious. Hi there. Hi. You're welcome. Tanya, they're always with you. They're saying they're always with you. They're saying feel the connection of what you would wish to feel with us in your presence. What would you feel if you already knew we were there? And that is the place you must go to within yourself in order to open up your senses and your non-physical senses to the awareness that we are already present with you. It is not something that is going to happen, but you must shift your perception, your feeling to tune into us, for we are with all of you always. But how you feel is what you allow yourself to connect to physically, mentally, emotionally, and non-physically, energetically, and spiritually. Cool. That's wonderful, Deirdre. Uh, that's a great question, Drusilla, and um, we are not separate from, but extensions of that one Godhead that you are referring to. We are extensions of it. The same way your fingers on your hand are extensions of your body that you can work with, so too is your whole body an extension of a greater consciousness that is also you. It's saying align yourself to that awareness that you are infinite being expressing through here. You are only limited by your willingness to focus on what you wish to feel and the intensity with which you do so. I'm not sure what that means for you, but that's great to hear, Michael. Like I said, wonderful. Uh, that's not altogether true, Tanya. The reality is you are not your body. Your body's just an extension that you work through. It's like a transmitting and receiving station. It's not who you are. It's a vehicle that you utilize, that you can pick up information from the world, but you can also transmit information to the world, energy. We can receive vibrations, we can broadcast vibrations through this mechanism. When you lose this body, when it ceases to function, it just means you cannot broadcast through this wavelength of this physical form. But it doesn't mean that you cease to exist. In reality, you are the consciousness that, you could say you are the electromagnetic field that maintains the existence of the body. You are the electrical energy, the emotional field that holds the body together. And they can measure these fields too. If you remove the electrical field from the body, it would cease to function, it begins to degrade. Excuse me, pardon me. Just gonna take a little sip of water here. Wow. And just see if there's any more questions. I think we're Oh, you're welcome, Elena. Tanya. Oh, I see, Tanya. Okay. They're laughing right now, Tanya. They're saying, we have spoken to you in many ways. We understand that you wish to hear us in your mind as a different voice than your own. But this is a skill that you must learn to cultivate, for you are used to hearing things filtered through this system and perceiving what you call reality through it. But it's important you understand there is a clear distinction in the quality of a thought and the feeling connected to it that will allow you to distinguish us and what we wish to say to you from the voice that you call your own thought in your mind. There is a difference in the feeling quality, and we would recommend that you pay attention to that. That you, when you ask a question, allow the answer to come. And even if it comes in the voice that you recognize as your own, notice the difference in the feeling quality. For it is in the difference in the feeling quality that you will recognize our presence within you. But you could easily hear us around you too. And you often do this when you see number sequences or you get little messages from cards. You often recognize us around you. To hear us within you is a matter of choice and awareness that you must cultivate that skill, that ability. It's like learning to taste a fine wine versus a cheap wine. You must acquire a taste to know the difference between the two. So too, you must acquire a different awareness within your perceptual mechanism to recognize the distinction between what you call yourself and those of us that work with you. And that's very true. It's very, very true, because in the beginning, I heard a lot of things as my voice. Now I've begun to articulate, and I can hear literally different tones of voice, the different melodies and the different notes in the voice, different qualities of feeling. And it is a process you go through. We teach that in our mediumship courses, how you actually go step by step by step and go from being just who you think you are to being able to hear beyond what you think you know, so you can actually get it tapped into to the guides and angels and archangels and ascended masters that are around us, the Pleiadians, the Lemurians. There are many, many beings on many star systems, many dimensions, limitless. Like there's no number you can put on it. The human mind cannot conceive of infinity. It's impossible, because it's not a calculable number. It's just an endless potentiality. And you learn that. You can learn to develop the internal architecture to hear and see. Everybody has this. Nobody's special. Everybody's got this potential within, but it has to be actualized. You have to be trained. It's like going to school to study physics, or going to a carpenter and learning how to do carpentry. You have to go to a place where you're going to be taught those skills, and then you practice what you're taught until you learn it. Oh, that's wonderful, Deirdre. Sunny. um, I'm going to answer that question directly for you, Sunny. It's not something you're manifesting in the future. You manifest it now. Wherever you are, sit in that vibration that you call love. Move into it, feel it, let it saturate the cells of your body, let the electrical energy in and around your body become alive with it, and then allow that energy to work on your behalf in this world. It will create conditions and circumstances and opportunities. Just as fear and anger cause certain results in our life, joy and possibility create certain results in our life. And we have choice over that. Spend more time focusing on joy and love within yourself. Move away from anticipating when it's going to happen, and just be in the being of it right now, and it will unfold. As there are certain laws. Like I said, it takes this water. If I put it in the freezer, will take a bit of time to freeze, because it's got the vibration to impart its way into it. So be patient when you start to practice some of these things that you're learning here. Be patient as you practice them. You got to practice and practice until they become functional. There is no child that when it was born could suddenly eat food or run around. It had to be developed. And so too, one of the challenges I have when I work with people that are dealing with debilitating anxiety and depression is getting them to sit long enough to feel the system changing. And without fail, when they get to the place where they can suddenly feel, oh, when I think, feel, or sit, or do this, or eat this, it makes my body feel this way. When they get that experience of something different happening, the journey from their depression, from their anxiety begins to unfold, because they start to realize that, wow, I can change what I feel. I just have to train my mind and body to work in harmony with what I want. And it is, you have to literally retrain your mind and body. I don't, there's something about, I don't know what this is for you, but with regards to your mother, I don't know who she is, but she's got, I just see her face, just curly hair, smiling, and the vibration she's communicating to me is that you already know this. What more do you need to know? That I am always with you. Bells. She said, listen to bells. You'll notice bells. She says, that's the easiest way I can get through to you, is the ringing of bells. Okay. I'm not attached to what what they're saying and why. Are you welcome, Angie? Um, that's a great question, Lindra. Thank you so much. That's a beautiful question. You you cannot be dragged down unless you allow yourself to be dragged down. If you choose to stay in an elevated state of consciousness, you must choose that, even though they are negative and they're being that way and they're being that way. You must choose. You get. I mean, from my perspective, you have a great opportunity to elevate your energy up and to stay there and just have compassion on them because they don't know they can change, right? But you do. So it's about you being the light for them, even though being your best self, no matter what other people are saying or doing, being your best self, being in the most loving, powerful, empowering state you possibly can, and understand that where they are, if they're in anger, or they're in fear, they're in suffering, right? And that you must choose to be at a higher frequency. Yes, it might weigh down on you, but the minute it does, pull yourself up, breathe, take a shift, walk out of the room, but clap your hands, jump up around, shift your energy. Do not let yourself get caught up in the resonance of their frequency. Or go into a quiet room. One of the things that I like to do sometimes is I'll go into a quiet space and I'll breathe and move into a state of love and joy, and I'll radiate that out to the space, to the people, to the events, the circumstances. And you'll be surprised what can happen. And do that. Before you go into a place where those people are, move yourself into a state of love and joy and send that feeling to the space before you get there. And please, when you do that, send me a note to let me know what's happened. But send a vibration of how you'd like that space to feel before you get there, and feel it in your body, feel it being there before you get there, and watch the power of your creative focus at work. Because you alter time, space, and matter with what you think. If you believe people can bring you down, then people will bring you down. Oh, great question, Don. What should I work on? What should he work on? What should he work on? I get that you need to go out and ground some more, Don. They're saying go and ground. You need to you need to spend some time in nature. Put your back against a tree. I'm getting this image of, in my head, coming in saying, put your back against a tree and breathe there. Just be with it. Be in nature. That's the strongest thing that's coming forward. You need to be in nature more. You're too caught up. You're disconnected. There's so much. I mean, there's so many questions. I want to say I'm so grateful all of you have showed up today. It's just wonderful. But we're getting beyond this. I just want to say I've been guided to do this every single because it's the same thing for me, and we as we're the same thing. We are all one on this dimensional plane. Every Saturday we are here from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. doing Supernatural Saturday. And we're hoping that it's going to grow and evolve and continue to work. And we have the 1 Billion Strong movement on Facebook. And I would encourage you, if you want to pursue a deeper understanding of what you're hearing here and how to tap into your guides and your angels, please go to my website, williammichaelforbes.com. Check out our courses and classes. They start in February. This whole ascension process, and it's not just our group, there are many groups around the world right now that are popping up to facilitate people waking up during this ascension time, because people are going through all these challenges emotionally, mentally, and it's not because there's something wrong with them. It's because their emotional potential can't be restricted to a finite state of being. We're not meant to be sad all the time. We're not meant to be suffering. We're meant to be dynamic beings experiencing our unlimited potential. In our courses and classes of mediumship, we teach you a few things: how to get control of your mind, how to get control of your emotions, how to tap into your angels, your guides, ascended beings. There's a step-by-step process that we've cultivated and developed that can train you and teach you how to do that on your own. You don't have to wait. Get into school. There are other schools out there too. I mean, there are other groups that are teaching this sort of thing. Get involved in a place where you can develop the skill sets, because we are all connected together. The technology is the physical evidence that we can all be connected. whenever we want, wherever we want, however we want. But we can also do that without technology. We can do it within our own spirit. I mean, Master Jesus is around us all the time. Buddha, you're not living in a separate consciousness. We are unified. While we have individual expressions too. Anyway, come and learn with us. Join us. You can get all the details at my website, again, williammichaelforbes.com. And I hope we'll see some of you there in February. So have yourself a wonderful, a joyful Saturday. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for your questions. I'll have to watch this afterwards and see if I can catch the rest of them. Because again, without your questions, without your participation, this doesn't work. Take some time, go to my YouTube channel as well and watch the meditation for Australia, and watch it, once a day. Because remember, when you add a vibration to something, when I add more cold to the water, it turns to ice. When you add, an idea enough times, an energy to something, it changes it. So you add the energy of the rain and the cool and the joy, the love, the excitement of being in that part of the world, as it would be with the rain, and etc. At this point, you begin to affect it. Even speaking of it, the quality in which we speak of it affects it. Just as the quality of the words that my divine team directs me, whether I'm in the shower or on the toilet or walking down the street, the quality of the feeling that these beings give you when you allow yourself to open up to them alters your reality. Just like the sound of my voice and what they communicate through my voice to you affects and alters and changes what you're experiencing. So this is true for every single human soul on this planet. We are not separate. We are one. We really are. So much love, everybody, and thank you for coming out and taking the time out of your beautiful Saturday. And we'll see you next week. Much love. Bye for now.